I feel that it's so important to understand that once you grow yourself, you can help others grow as well. You can impact those around you. So by taking the time out of your busy schedule once a week, just start with once a week, right? Then work your way up. I mean, I've gotten to a point now where I've literally scheduled out a few days of the week for a specific task or specific areas in my life that I want to grow myself in. So I've got some time set apart for the same time every night of the week. I set apart some time for me to be productive, to work on myself, to grow myself. One day, it could be a Monday, it could be a Tuesday, or whatever the case is, I will work specifically on my hobbies. All right, so I will practice music, I will do my songwriting and all that. The very next day, I will focus on something completely different. I will focus on growing my career. So I will do some research, I will do some catching up of emails, I will do some preparations for the next meetings coming up for that week, because I know that that's going to set me ahead. Hey everyone, welcome to the RLT podcast, where we share some real life tools, tips, and tricks to help you not only discover, but also reach your ultimate goals. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the 20th episode of the Real Life Tips podcast. We're so excited to have you guys back here with us for another great episode. I am your host, Mono.
Can I get a oh yeah? I'm Leon. Episode 20, man. What a milestone. Hey, man,
Episode 20.
I'm super proud of us. I'm hoping that the listeners are proud of us as well. If you know us, this is quite an achievement. We've been editing and producing this show completely in spare time and after hours, with kids running around, with lives going on, with lockdown, with load shedding and power outages. And we got it. We did it. We came to episode 20. Super, super stoked. So, yeah, thank you very much to everyone that's been tuning in from day one. For those of you that are tuning in fresh, go and catch up on the first 20 episodes or the first 19 episodes. I'm sure it'll be worth your listen. I can guarantee it. But yeah, really, really happy to be on episode 20. I think from now on going forward, this has become a big part of my life for sure, and an absolute pleasure to do this show.
Yeah, 100%, and absolutely, Leon. It's just really, we've been entrenched in this project for quite some time now, and I'm quite impressed, as you said, with the time, the effort that's gone into this, and we're really just so stoked for all of you guys out there listening to us, and that really just, the comments that we've been receiving on the show, the support that we've been receiving, and really honestly, it all comes back down to you. I mean, we started this project off with saying that we're not doing this for ourselves. There's a big part of ourselves that we want to give out, that we feel that we're holding back on, that we want to give out to the world. And yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. So episode 20, my man Leon, I'm so stoked that we're here, that we've pushed through, that we're here to share another great message with the audience again here today. And so I think without further ado, Leon, let's kick it off, get back into the topic of discussion for tonight. And I came across a really, really great quote the other day. It was a couple of weeks ago, and it hit me right in the gut. And I was like, this just really resonates with me, because we've all been dealt with situations like this, and in some case or in some shape or form, we've never really put it into words. We've never really written it down. And it's a quote shared by Warren Buffett, and he simply said that your 9 to 5 pays the bills, your 6 to 10 builds the empire, so keep hustling. And it's so powerful. And tonight we're going to talk all about just investing in yourself. Investing is such a big part of growth in your life, whether it is in a financial aspect. And that's typically the thing that we think about when we hear the term investing, right? But seldom do we ever confront ourselves on the fact that we have to invest in ourselves, invest in our skills, invest in our appearance, invest in our hobbies, in the things that we want to achieve in life, in our careers, not necessarily just money-wise or financial-wise, but really looking at the time that we spend on a daily basis. What do we spend our time with? What do we invest our time in? Do we invest in ourselves? So I think Warren Buffett just encapsulated that entire thought in such a beautiful way. It's the fact that a lot of people feel that they're not going anywhere, they're not achieving anything, but is that because you're not investing in yourself? And that's what I really want to touch on tonight.
Yeah. Look, this is going to be one of those very, I think, touchy-feely type of topics where a lot of people are going to think about this and say, yeah, that's something that they've always been aware of and they haven't done much about it, because there's this little cancerous thing in life that's called mediocrity, or just being in sort of like a safety zone or a comfort zone, whatever you want to call it. And that kind of, it kills dreams, man. And this topic, and especially the way that Warren Buffett has put it, and I mean, if you go, for those of you that know Warren Buffett, he needs no introduction. This is probably one of the wealthiest men on the planet. That's been a huge inspiration on my life, just because he is the epitome of having the hugest, most unimaginable wealth ever, but he still balanced everything in life. He still goes out on his excursions. He still spends time with all of his family. He's able to really bring the whole thing full circle and prioritize life in such a way that he enjoys his life as a multi-billionaire, US billionaire, and having a huge empire behind him, but then also making sure that he's permanently investing in his own future and in his own life. I think at his level, it's really difficult to find more places to invest in improving yourself, because where can you find information and people that know stuff that's better than you when you are at the top? So it's probably hard, but this guy still reads 52 books a year. He does a book a week while running a huge empire, while spending time with his family and friends, while getting time off and spending it in the on his ranch and things like that. So really, really powerful thought. And again, I really think that this is kind of the epitome, or the, let's call it the brand of this entire show, is investing in yourself, is making sure that you spend time with shows like this. I'm not saying that we are the wealth of knowledge, but we definitely do better than an episode of South Park, for example, as far as knowledge is concerned, or wisdom. Not that I've got anything against South Park. Very many hours of my life wasted on that, and I can never get it back. But it just goes to say that, spend your time on earth wisely and try and end this life off the best you could have ever tried to push and grow yourself into.
If you're here listening to this show, Leon's mentioned it a couple of times, it means that you're already looking for more. You're already looking for growth in your life. You're already looking or striving towards something better, something bigger than yourself, or something bigger than whatever you're busy with at the moment. And 100%, you've encapsulated in such a great way, Leon, because that is the core focus of the show. It's to really help you out there and help ourselves really digest a lot of this information that we find, a lot of this information that we stumble upon when we're doing our research on how to live more fulfilling lives, and to bring that to you in more easily digestible content and in just light-hearted conversation. And that's really the only reason that we're here. So a lot of people don't realize that when they're stuck in a specific situation, that there's only so many hours that you have in a day, and it becomes such a great challenge for us to sort of divide ourselves between our worlds, right? Saying that, yes, this is something that we're currently busy with. It's something that we continuously have to keep doing, a day job, right? To keep the money flowing into our accounts so that we can put food on the table, so that we can afford gas in our tanks, so that we can get to work, so that we can get our kids to school, so that we can go and do the things that we want to do in life and spend time with the people that we want to spend time with. But what do we do beyond that? And I think in life, the reason that this quote just really hit home is because a lot of times in life, you find yourself in a situation where you're sitting there and you're wondering, is this all there is? Is this all there is to life? Is me going to work, coming back home, and just enjoying the evening with my friends and family, and then going back to work again the next day, day in, day out, waiting for the weekend, praying for the weekend at some point, or praying for the leave that's coming up, or for your time off from work, so that you can just spend some time alone or spend some time with the loved ones that you have in your life. And it's just, so stressful and overwhelming, that feeling that you get of this is all there is. What more can I do? What more can I accomplish? And Warren Buffett simply stated that that's what you do in your 9 to 5, but you have the control to direct your life into a whole new beginning or into a whole new direction if you just spend your hours after your 9 to 5 a little bit more intentional.
Yeah, Martin, I think we're starting to hit on, or like they would say, we're striking pay dirt with that concept. So your 9 to 5 is pretty much what you need to do in order to put food on the table. And if you are extremely lucky, it would be your dream job. And again, this show, as we mentioned in our very first shows and our intros and everything, we're average Joes. So we know that there's very insightful quotes stating that, like, for example, from Steve Jobs, I'm going to have to paraphrase, I forget the quote, but something around the line of, if you do something that you love or that you're passionate about, you never have to work a day in your life, something like that. Those are very nice. Those are really nice little quotes to print and put on your wall. But realistically speaking, a lot of people do not find themselves there. They actually, most of us, and I mean the statistics talk about 60 to 70% of people grind it out every day in a job that does not serve their greater good. It's purely there as a tool and a mechanism to put food on the table. And that is the problem. But as Marnie just mentioned, and as Warren Buffett so eloquently stated, you don't stop there. You don't necessarily need to be defined by that. Now, again, I mentioned in the beginning that a lot of us find ourselves coming back from those day jobs that don't fulfill us, and we spend the rest of the night saying that, oh, we're so tired, and we're just going to sit on the couch and watch some movies or something like that. Some of us have kids, so that's a very strenuous thing in itself. That's another huge job that you need to undertake. The point is that there's no perfect way to do this, and whatever works for you is what works for you. We don't want to say that you need to spend 6 or 7 hours a night researching stuff like myself and Marnu's done so many, for months on end. But yeah, sometimes you just find yourself in a very efficient mindset where you are ready to absorb something, or you're ready to work on a project, and you've got that focus and that energy to drive it forward. And that's 100% something that you need to lean into and start working on that project. Put the hours in while that spark is there and the love and the passion is there, because it will fade, and it always does. It's very, very seldom that you hear someone trying something completely new and being able to follow it through entirely until the end. And I'm very guilty of this myself. I've actually tried to build cabinets and things before, and I would find myself halfway through just, smacking things together and then just getting the job done. So what the concept of tonight is more or less about is to say that if you're not finding fulfillment in your 9 to 5, that's not necessarily the only place that you need to look for fulfillment, or that's the default place that's going to grow you. That's the situation that you are in right now to earn a living, but spend the time that you have after that wisely, if possible. And again, 100%, life happens. You might be busy, you might have kids, you might need to do chores at home, or you need to run errands. We all know that. We're saying that if you can, for example, bite off an hour a night to spend it on yourself, doing something completely selfish that's going to grow you, and you can go and sit on your own and just work on that one thing, whether that's spiritual, whether that's reading up and doing research and improving yourself, whether that's studying a course on Udemy or Shaw Academy or any of the online training platforms, whatever that might be, but use it for something useful that you will find yourself after that being a little bit better than you were before you started doing that chore or that task or that project or whatever it might be. Invest in yourself. At the end of the day, what ends up happening is these little things compound. And in our previous episode, I actually forgot to mention, I think it was a study that was also done, but that if you, for example, work on a project and it's a huge end goal, if you just look at the end goal, there's absolutely no way that you can find your mind even realizing that fact or that end goal. But if you start breaking it up and you do the small things and you build the cadence and you do it consistently, you have to be consistent and very intentional. You have to put time aside, you have to focus on that. And you start compounding those little things, they form into something huge. And that's what would actually then propel yourself forwards.
Yeah, and talking about the career side of things, right? So, I mean, your 9 to 5 is where you put in all of your effort. Typically, I mean, that's where most of us have been designed to sort of put all of your focus, all of your energy into. And that's sort of how you've been conditioned when you left college or when you left varsity or when you left high school. It's really just hustling, going out there hustling, just making sure that you do your absolute best, making sure that you study in a certain direction or you take additional courses or you skill yourself up to a level where you can grow or advance your career. And 100% yes, you can do that. And you can still do that between your 9 to 5 in some cases if you're lucky enough to get some work done and get some study leave in between where you can work that into your daytime schedule. But what we're talking about is really investing in yourself beyond just the 9 to 5. So it's saying, what are your typical habits of, going home or once you arrive at home and you have some free time? In some cases, if you don't have kids, then you've got a lot of free time and you're like me, so I'm guilty. I'm absolutely guilty of this in the past. And I think this is why it resonated with me, is because I've found myself in situations, not always because I'm quite a disciplined person, but in a lot of cases, I come home and I would just binge out on TV series, or I would just play games the whole night, right? Or I would just do mindless, aimless scrolling through social media. So you find yourself wasting so much time. And of course, I want to say still that is necessary. It's necessary to take those breaks. But if you force yourself into a new habit of saying, I want to dedicate myself to career advancement, for instance, it's a very good opportunity to put aside some time in your 6 to 10, right? To say, on not every night of the week, I'm going to relax most nights of the week because it's going to be hectic, grinding it out every single day, hustling at your day job. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with saying just one night a week or just 2 nights a week. I want to actually spend some time intentionally growing or advancing my career. This really just brought it back to me and said that if you want to advance your career, if you feel that you're not building an empire, if you feel that you're not achieving your full potential in your day job and you want to be better, you ask yourself, what am I doing with my 6 to 10? Not what am I doing with my 9 to 5? Because we seldom have control over what we do with our 9 to 5s, right? People plan our days for us. The meetings come up, you open up your inbox and you're just fully booked for that day already, or for that week. In some cases, for the next 2 weeks. Corporate gets really, really hectic. So what I'm saying is, what are you doing with that 6 to 10? What are you doing with your after hours? Can you spare an hour a week in one day? Or maybe 2 hours a week, 1 hour on a Tuesday, 1 hour on a Thursday, to take up an additional course, or to revise, or to plan your week better, or to plan the next meeting better. And that in your career, and that's just one example, in your career, what you're doing then is you're investing time in yourself. And in some cases, it's not just going to be time, right? If for instance, and I think I'm more than anyone else out there, Leon, more than you, Leon, I mean, I don't like investing money in things that don't make sense to me. So when it comes to little things, let's take my career, for instance. this quote really just hit home for me, because it was in the sense that you have to invest in yourself, whether it is time that you're investing in your career or in some cases money, right? If there's one thing that I've learned from you, Leon, is that you don't mind investing in yourself when it comes to putting money on the table. So if you see a new laptop that makes sense, that will help you advance your career in even the tiniest, minutest way, you invest in that. And that makes sense to me, because I'm reluctant to spend money when it comes to things like that, because I don't look at the big picture. You look at something like that and you say, this is going to cost me X amount. And I can't afford it right now. But you know what? It's going to make me money in the long run. So yes, absolutely, it's going to be an investment. Sometimes, well, in the beginning, I absolutely saw that as you just making excuses for buying things. But I think I'm grasping the concept behind that. And it's investing in yourself, investing in your career, and putting money on the table to say, yes, this course is going to be expensive. And yes, maybe it is going to force me to eat cheesy puffs for this month, but every day at lunchtime or at dinner, feed my kids this. But you know what? I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in my career, and I'm investing in growth. And I'm doing this beyond just the 8 hours or 9 hours that I put into my day job.
I mean, at the end of the day, the numbers is really what matters most. If you put in the time and you put in the effort, and you do that more frequently and more vigorously than your peers or your opponents or whoever you want to beat to the chase. And not to say that everything in life is a chase, but if you are doing this to intentionally, for example, grow yourself into a better career or position, you are going to have to face off opponents to go for a specific position at a company, for example. And the only way that you stand a better chance at getting that job, for example, is being better than those people that's vying for the same position. Yeah, and the only way that you can do that is being more skilled. And the only way you can gather the skills is by putting in the time and the effort to obtain those skills if they're not being delivered to you through your regular day job. And if we really think about this, I mean, at the end of the day, the whole point of self-betterment, and again, the reason you guys are here listening to this show is because you already have that within you. So I'm not talking to the people that are comfortably, and this is, I don't know if this is going to sound bad, but maybe comfortably okay with just the status quo. I don't want to say comfortably mediocre. That sounds wrong. But just fine with being okay and making just enough and getting by and just having an average life. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you are listening to the show, chances are that you are trying to be exceedingly good at what you're doing, or to make an impact on some people or life, or being significant and standing out. I mean, Steve Jobs said something, now I need to paraphrase again, but it was something about there's no point in being the richest man in a cemetery. You have to go to bed every night saying that you did something wonderful that day. Every single day. Every single day matters. Every single day counts. And I find myself sometimes forgetting this. For example, I'll have a goal at the end of the week. For example, going out with friends to a party. And I promise you that entire week, the only thing that I'm looking forward to is going to that party. And I actually brush through that week, going back and thinking, I didn't really spend time in that week focusing and putting enough energy into everything that I was doing, because I was so excited about the weekend or whatever it might be, a purchase that comes up. Maybe you bought a new car and you're waiting on delivery. You kind of pray the hours gone just to get that new thing or that nice thing that you're waiting for. This is also just literally killing time. Now, we talked about 6 to 10, and we all know that a lot of people are guilty of the guilty pleasure of watching a lot of television, right? And again, I'm not here to preach about watching television or not watching television. I really enjoy a good series. I think everyone does. The point is to really just find and strike a balance. If you are here listening to this show and you are already questioning why am I not achieving? Why am I not better than I am? You've only got yourself to blame, because you've got all those extra hours in the day. If you really want to be good, at something, you'll spend that time, you'll swap that time out doing something productive to get to that goal. You only have yourself to blame for not doing that. There's no one else that's going to do it for you. The skills are not going to fall out of the sky. Yes, there's sometimes that you get a lucky break or you're in the right place at the right time and speaking to the right people. But that is not something you can bargain on. You can't build a future based upon luck. You have to build your luck. You have to ensure that you put in the time and the grit that's going to tip the scale in your favor. And that's the only way that you're really going to reach the type of success. And again, this show is very much around career and financial success. So obviously our themes are always going to be edged towards that. But this could very much be something else as well, like a spiritual thing or a physical thing. I mean, investing in yourself, we talked about this, just remind me, episode 13.
Yeah.
This time I got it right. Episode 13, we talked about my venture into finally doing something fitness-wise for my life. That's another example of I had to go and literally squeeze out the extra hour in the day to squeeze in fitness. And fitness is something where the reward just comes extremely slowly, right? You do not see the reward day over day or hour over hour or even week over week necessarily. I mean, it's just really, really, I completely empathize now with the people that are finding themselves in this very same struggle as I am. But I'm investing in it. I'm gonna grit it out. I'm gonna stay there until I reach my goal. And if I don't reach that goal, I can't go and sit and feel sorry for myself. It's my own fault. It's my own mistake. I can only hold myself accountable. No one's going to make me go to the gym or put a gun against my head. That's entirely my choice. If I choose not to do that, I should not be surprised if the results are bad. And again, this is what we mean by finding a way to invest in yourself. And again, we all live the same life. We understand that life is tough and there's a lot of things going on and everyone is always balancing 100 million things. And I think with life as it is now, with all the technology and just the pace of life and how quickly information comes and goes and things like that, yes, life is extremely hectic. And I think our brains, especially if you think about our lizard brains, it's just not necessarily equipped yet to completely comprehend and deal with the amount of pressure that we're putting on it. But the problem is your peers are going to do it. Your competition's going to do it because they want to get there. If you're not going to get there, or if you want to get there as well, you have to at least do what they're doing or better than what they're doing. And the only way that you can do that is by investing in yourself. If you're very lucky, you might be in a job where that job provides for the opportunity for that to inadvertently then invest in yourself. So if you're very lucky, you might be in a position where it's growing you towards exactly that one person or that specific goal career-wise that you want to achieve in life. But so many of us just aren't. You're not in that very most ideal position where you want to see yourself retiring. And that's when you have to set aside extra time in your spare space, however short time that might be. And we're literally talking about if you can squeeze off 5 minutes a night, that's already better than nothing, right?
Yeah, Leon, you touched on your on fitness and your fitness journey, and it's funny that you touched on that, but I actually really thought about that. We had this discussion, and I think it was actually recorded in one of the episodes that we had when we chatted about your goals and the resourcefulness of human beings, typically blaming it on resources versus the resourcefulness that one should have. And you're right, that's the best example, because you used to say that I'm not a fit person. It's just not who I am. Identifying, writing that story for yourself as well.
Excuses,
but beyond just that, you actually went and said that I don't have enough time, because that's what we all tell ourselves. We don't have enough time. Sure, yes, it would be nice to be fit or to go to the gym or to get to the gym, and it's difficult, right? But now that you've changed your mindset around it, you said, you know what, no matter what, I want to achieve this. I keep saying that I'm going to do it. I keep saying that I'm going to do it, but I just never ever get to actually doing it because I tell myself, I give myself this little comfort zone bubble that I build around myself to say that I just don't have enough time. I've got so much going on in my life. But now that you actually have committed to that thought process, you find the time, you make the time in your day as well. And that's investing in yourself. So even though it doesn't happen 6 to 10, all right, that's obviously one set of it, but you found the time, you found the hours to put into the gym and all that. So investing in fitness in that sense as well could mean many different things. I mean, for myself as well, I absolutely despise cardio. It's something that I don't like to do at all, right? I go to the gym to go and do some weightlifting and resistance training and all that. I absolutely cannot stand doing cardio training or exercise or HIIT training and all. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I cannot stand it, right? So what I had to do is I had to come to a realization that, yes, I have to do some cardio training every now and then at least, because cardiovascular is important, all of that kind of stuff. So what I had to do is I had to invest in myself. And Leon, we've spoken about this in a couple of our previous episodes as well. I count every single penny that I spend. I don't want to spend money on things that are not necessary. But I got to a point where we had this discussion out on the balcony at work one day, and I don't know what happened. The stars aligned, and I've been thinking at the time that I want to get a mountain bike and I want to go out. I want to start seeing nature and all those things. And you brought it up as well. And I was like, dude, let's do it together. Let's do it together. Let's commit now. I'm going to go buy a bike right now. And I spent that money. And it was simple for me at the time. It was tough, but at the same time, it was simple because I knew that I was investing in myself. I was investing in the one goal, in the one area of my life that is fitness, that is your cardio exercise, but that's going to be fun for me as well. So yes, absolutely. Do I go cycling every single weekend? No. I don't. Okay. But that wasn't the point. The point was for me to have a bicycle, to have a mountain bike so that I can go out and cycle when I want to go and achieve that sort of goal and actually commit myself to that. But I see that as not money wasted. I see that as money invested in a personal fitness goal that I wanted to achieve as well. Beyond just that, actually, touching on hobbies, I mean, hobbies are quite important. It's a way for us. We've spoken about this in our transcendence moment in the one podcast that we covered the 4 pillars of a meaningful life. And one of the pillars was transcendence, making sure that you have some hobby, some interest in your life that gives you that moment to break free from the everyday hustle and bustle, where you can connect with something much deeper than just your physical being and all of that stuff, right? Sounds quite philosophical, but that's something that I tend to do a lot as well, but not as much as I want to, right? It's putting in the hours, your 6 to 10, not just necessarily focusing on financial growth, but also putting it around what can I do for myself? In a hobby. If you're sitting there, if there's a hobby that you've always wanted, if it's sketching, all right, maybe you want to be a tattoo artist, or maybe you want to become a singer or a pop star, or maybe you just always wanted to learn how to sing or how to write music or how to play a musical instrument. Those are things that bring fulfillment to your life as well. So by going out and buying that guitar, or going out and buying that cello, or going out and buying that drum set because you've always wanted to learn how to play drums, right? Or buying the sketching stuff to learn how to draw, or buying a course, that is not money wasted. That is money that you spend investing in yourself as well. So absolutely crucial, touching on the topic of investing in yourself in so many different ways. And even when it comes to going out, I'm a person, I don't really like spending money on going away on holiday. It's something that I'm really, again, reluctant to do because it feels like such a big waste of time, a waste of resources, a waste of money, because you come back and you're like, okay, great. A lot of the times you come back from those holidays and you feel more stressed out than you were before you actually went on that holiday. So for me, I'm very reluctant on spending money on those type of things. But in so many cases, it's so necessary for you, for peace of mind, for you to re-energize yourself again for the brand new week that's going to be ahead. And so it's really important to not see those things as liabilities, but rather see it from a perspective of, this is me investing in myself. This is me building my empire in the tiniest, minute kind of way, even if it feels far removed from my actual goals of achieving financial success or achieving success in my career. it's necessary for you to take those breaks. It's necessary for you to strip yourself away from work thoughts and stresses that basically could drive you to exhaustion at the end of the day, and really just breaking yourself away from that and saying, I'm going to spend time this week, at least one night a week, 2 hours, I'm going to practice guitar. Or I'm going to practice drum, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a course that's going to teach me how to sketch better, or that's going to teach me how to write songs, or that's going to teach me how to plant bonsai trees, or to trim bonsai trees as well. So taking up that time and putting it aside for yourself and actually scheduling it in your calendar would make it so much easier for you in other aspects of your life. But it comes down to investing in yourself.
Yeah, very, very true. And I think the whole underlying thought here is also to talk a little bit about the time management component, because at the end of the day, I think that is probably the key to why a lot of people are struggling to find time to invest in themselves. It's either that or, life just happened, and you just don't have the time to do anything and work on yourself. And that's completely fine. We're all going to go through times where there is just no energy left in the day to focus on yourself and actually do something for yourself. But at the end of the day, it's really got to do with time management. There is really nothing that kills time as quickly as entertainment. So if, for example, and again, it feels like I'm coming down on TV watching, and really I'm not, I promise you. I'm the last person to judge on TV watching. I've got absolutely nothing against TV watching. But what I can say is that, have you realized if you are watching TV, how fast the time just burns right through?
Oh, yeah.
You can go and light a candle, and by the end of the night, that candle will still be burning like 3/4 way, and 5 hours have gone past and you've watched 5 episodes and it feels like nothing happened.
Yeah, or even if you go and calculate the amount of episodes that you've watched and the time spent per episode, and that just makes it a quick estimate. It's scary. It's really scary. Yeah,
it's huge. And I mean, there's this whole thing or concept of binge watching, and I've binge watched stuff and you've binge watched. Everyone does that. The problem is that if that is habitual, so if that's something that's really like a big part of your life and that's how you spend most of your free time, again, don't ask yourself why you're not growing. Don't ask yourself why aren't you learning new things, or why are people surpassing you? Why are your peers growing faster than you? Why are you not happy with where you are in life? It's your own fault. You wasted so much time doing mindless things. And again, I mean, I don't need to say this the whole time. I'm not saying that it's mindless to watch TV. It's got its necessary place in life as part of time that you can allocate towards entertainment. But you're not going to get skills from the sky. New ideas are not going to formulate without spending time behind the table and desk with a piece of pen and paper and formulating them. If you want to play drums, like Manu just mentioned, you're not going to go and just one day walk into a music store, go sit on the drums and see, oh, wow, I just had the talent and just play it perfectly. You have to practice. Even if you've got talent, you still have to practice. So the whole point here is, and I guess it makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. It's just that so few people actually get behind it and do it. And I think this is where we need to talk about, just to shift a little bit. I think we're quite clear on the message. You need to invest in yourself. I think it's quite comprehensible to understand why and what the benefits would be. But how is probably the next best thing. I mean, I, for example, know, let's talk about Vikings, the series Vikings. And I know that
I love that because I'm still busy with it.
I know that I got money to watch Vikings, and I mean, it's extremely addictive and very difficult to literally, you have to tear your eyeballs from the screen with a menorah blade in order to get yourself to just go to the bathroom. That's how addictive it is. How do you actually literally say, listen, I know that show is like the best thing I've ever seen in my life, but I have to put it aside and I have to work on myself as well. what are some of the tips that we can share with the people? I think a lot of it's going to be obvious, but I think it's going to come down to finding a little bit of self-control and self-discipline. Everything's going to root from that. And this is where I suck as well, is if something is really enjoyable and I'm just in that part of my life where this is the thing that I like doing, it's very difficult for me to say, I already know that it's not healthy. I already know that. But it's very difficult for me to say, screw that, I have to stop doing it, or I have to start at least controlling it so that I don't get completely engulfed by it. And so I'm also very bad at that. But what are perhaps some of the tips that we can share with the people today on how to find the time in order to set aside valuable, intentional time to spend with yourself on something that's going to improve you?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Leon, because I think it's an easy concept to comprehend in the sense that, of course, if I spend more time on something, I will be better at it. But that's way easier said than done.
It's simple, it's not easy.
It's simple, but it's not easy. 100%, yeah. So I think the key step that I want to perhaps just impart on you, Leon, and on the audience as well is start small. I mean, honestly, think big, but start small. So one of my goals have always been to get to this idealistic reality of taking enough time out of each day to grow, and 100% I do that. I do that in, we've discussed this in our morning rituals, putting some time aside in the morning to actually work on yourself so that no matter what happens that day, you can look back and say, today, at least if I've taken one step forward, it's one step, and it's one step closer to my goals. So no matter what happens, no matter what throws me off, that morning started off perfectly and I've managed to gain some traction, right? But beyond just that, it's really, one tip that I can leave with you, Leon, is that I actually went and I set an alarm. As simple as that. I set an alarm one day a week.
That's a good one.
I started really, really small. That alarm is still active. The nights that we record this started off with me setting an alarm to say that this is the day. Even if you didn't do anything to grow yourself during that week, set up one day, 1 hour or 2 hours aside to start working on yourself. And that's what I had to actually start doing. So I set an alarm for myself on a specific day of the week. And if that alarm went off, it would have been it's the weirdest experience ever, because you don't expect your alarm to go off that time of the day. And you start wondering, oh, what is this for? And you look at it and you're like, oh, I have to go and work on myself. But really, really get specific, right? So for me, I knew that meant we're recording an episode tonight. And I have to commit to that. And that's what we've been doing for quite some time now, bringing us all the way through to this episode. But beyond just that, Leon, I feel that a very important part of this and understanding the why, beyond just you growing on a daily basis, and it's always better to be a better version of yourself. But I feel that it's so important to understand that once you grow yourself, you can help others grow as well. You can impact those around you. So by taking the time out of your busy schedule once a week, just start with once a week, right? Then work your way up. I mean, I've gotten to a point now where I've literally scheduled out a few days of the week for a specific task or specific areas in my life that I want to grow myself in. So I've got some time set apart for the same time every night of the week. I set apart some time for me to be productive, to work on myself, to grow myself. One day, it could be a Monday, it could be a Tuesday, or whatever the case is, I will work specifically on my hobbies. All right, so I will practice music, I will do my songwriting and all that. The very next day, I will focus on something completely different. I will focus on growing my career. So I will do some research. I will do some catching up of emails. I will do some preparations for the next meetings coming up for that week, because I know that that's going to set me ahead. So start small. That's the one tip that I have for you guys in the audience and for you, Leon. But again, once you grow yourself, you can start by helping others grow as well. So that's the one tip that I have, Leon. Do you have anything that you want to share in closing?
Yeah, so basically from a tips perspective, I've got a few. I tried to summarize it. I actually want to start again with a quote. And this is the thing. So everything in life is your own choice. I think a lot of people think that a huge portion of your life is not controllable and is depicted by circumstantial events or social economic class and all those kind of things. While that has a huge impact, everything in life is still choices, right? So Abraham Lincoln actually said that most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. And this is extremely true. If you are listening to this show and you already know that this is a gray area in your life, or this is something that you need to work on, then half the work is already done. Now you just need to find ways and mechanisms and means in order to get it done. So a couple of the tips that I wanted to just highlight tonight is, first and foremost, as you said, set a goal. That is probably the most powerful part, is to set a goal. And when I say set a goal, if you're saying, listen, I want to start studying search engine optimization on an online platform, why do you want to do that? What is the why behind it? Is it because you want to actually improve your career? Now, if you know that it's improving your career in a specific, let's say it's a niche field, think about that position. Think about how much you'll earn, how much you will enjoy going to work every day in a job and a position that you really wanted and that you built into getting into. And think about the happiness and the joy that that will give you, the fulfillment, apart from just the financial gain. Once you can identify that goal, setting aside the time becomes just a sidekick, a side problem, something that you just need to kind of get out the way. Another thing that works for me, and this works for me with everything in life that's difficult, is try and find a reward system or making it fun. So, for example, when I started doing the whole gym thing, the one way that got me in the gym consistently every day throughout the week was listening to ebooks. Being able to do my gym while also, working my brain muscle and listening to some ebooks. That was one of the ways. Another thing is, when I used to do my reading in the mornings, I would say, listen, I'm going to do my reading in the mornings, and there's a special pot of coffee that we have in the house that's just for special occasions. So every morning while doing my reading, I'll actually go make myself one of those coffees, and not the regular coffee that we share on a day or use on a day-to-day basis. Find a way to reward yourself or make it a little bit fun. Another thing with exercising is buy yourself a little bit of kit, get a nice shirt and nice shoes to do the track and field and running and all that kind of stuff. All of those things are going to help you get into the groove until it actually becomes a little bit more habitual. All of this is about building confidence, right? I think confidence is such a huge determining factor of success. In many aspects in life. It's not just, and we're not talking about, I think a lot of people get a negative connotation when you think about confidence. You think of that cocky bloke with a bad attitude. That's not what we're talking about. Confidence is where you literally feel that you can do a particular thing or many things extremely well, and you do it with such conviction that no one can convince you that you suck at that. You know that you're good at that. And that's the whole point, is when you do so much of a good thing with your time, you get so good at it that you are confident in it, which means by default, you can kind of squeeze your way into doing that. If it's a career choice, doing that as a career, etc., you will be successful. It just kind of follows confidence. That's pretty much it. Those are the tips. I think that was, what was that? 3 tips. I always bring too many, but I think the biggest one is the goal setting. Just find a way to set the goals. Make it so that you can literally taste the reason why you want to do that thing, the why. Imagine the car that you're going to drive with your new paycheck, or the house that you're going to buy, or the stereo that you're going to buy, or just the way that you can provide for your family, the security that you can offer them. When you see that, it really becomes easy to put the things in place in order to make that happen.
I love that so much, Leon, and I totally agree. I think those are some really, really great tips. One of the things that I want to highlight from that, once again, is you touched on confidence, and confidence is key. We've spoken about this in the past as well, but something that I read somewhere also stated that confidence spawns from being prepared or preparedness. So investing that additional time of your day or additional your money or finances into a specific goal that you want to achieve, whether it is simply just a hobby or whether it is something career driven, something that you want to achieve in your day job, then absolutely being more prepared, spending that additional hours will spawn greater confidence in that specific area of your life. Absolutely love it. I think there's some really, really great tips here tonight, Leon. And it's been such a great honor again doing the 20th episode with you here again, Leon. I absolutely enjoy the time that we spent together, and I hope that you guys in the audience have enjoyed the time that we've spent here with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for the next episodes. Until then, this is me signing off, Mono.
This is Leon. Thanks so much for tuning in. 20th episode. We are quite stoked, and here's to the next 20 to come. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one.
See you next time. Bye.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We really hope that you have found inspiration or motivation from our content this far. If you want to get access to sneak previews to our upcoming shows on a weekly basis, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel or join our Facebook page, where we also share our blog posts and other great content from time to time. So head over to our Facebook and YouTube channels and feel free to share it with your friends so that they can also join you on the journey to success. Until next time, guys, cheers.